Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another reaction video. I got the energy for you, the positivity for you, got the shoulders for you, and I got the flannel for you. You know what we're reacting to today? Ladies and gentlemen, here we go with another video. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. This is your host, Grubb, and we have another reaction video for you today. Today, we are going to be reacting to this new game that is scheduled to come out. It's called the Callisto Protocol. However, the Callisto Protocol gets banned in Japan. Developer refuses to censor game for Japanese release. The Callisto Protocol is set to come out, I believe, the 2nd of November. It's coming out pretty soon. But for the developer to absolutely refuse to censor the game, when it's rare that Japan will censor video games, but when they do it for a reason. Before we dive into this video, let's just scroll over to why, or let's look it up on Google and figure out why Japan banned certain things. As it says here, video games are rarely banned in Japan, but many titles have been edited for excessive violence, such as Gears of War, Call of Duty, etc. So then you search up the next thing and it says, people also ask, why does Japan censor games? Japan. The Japanese versions are known for removing or heavily modifying anything and all related to sex and nudity in the game out of fear and concern for the morality of its citizens. In general, censorship in Japan aims to reduce gore and extreme violence in the localized versions of the game. Now, I'll scroll down again, and it says, does Japan ban video games? In Japan, video games are rarely banned except ones that contain controversial content. For example, the name of the weapon in Fallout 3 was changed into Nuka-Cola. There's a certain weapon that was changed because it is the name of a certain atomic bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki on August 9th, 1945. So I guess certain things get super sensitive, and it's more so a community effort as to why Japan censors certain things. I understand that. Let's dive into the video. Let's react to it.
One of the games that I'm really looking forward to is the Callisto Protocol. It looks really cool. Probably one of the most anticipated games of the year, I think. I've heard nothing but good things. It looks awesome. Been a while since we've gotten a new kind of survival horror game like this with a lot of love and care. So I have high hopes for this game. I think it looks amazing. However, there's one country that's not going to get the game, and it's kind of surprising to see. We talk about Japan quite a bit over on this channel and how they defy Western censorship, which is a big thing. But this is a little bit strange. This game is not going to come out in Japan. Apparently, they wanted censorship, which I know is strange. You just don't hear about this very often because usually it's the other way around. But I guess this game is too violent for Japan.
I'll be perfectly honest. The Callisto Protocol, I know the same people that worked on Dead Space 1, Dead Space 2, and possibly Dead Space 3. There are people from that team that have been working on this game, and I know that the death scenes in Dead Space can be quite gruesome. Now, if you think about the fact that these games are being upgraded and basically pack a punch to operate on these new systems, the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC, you know that they are not gonna pull their punches with the gore, whether it be the death scenes to the player in game, or whether it be to the actual dismemberment of the enemies in the game, like the monsters. So you know that this game is gonna be absolutely serious when it comes down to gory stuff. So I don't know. I think that that's something that people really have to take into account with Japan.
This type of censorship has been coming to Japan for a minute. I'm just shocked to see them die on the hill for this. Now, the developer of the Callisto Protocol should be commended here for actually refusing to censor the game. So the game's just not even going to release there. They're going to turn down money and say, you know what? This does not reflect our vision for this game. We refuse to censor it. So we're just not going to release the game there. If people really want to play it, they can still play it, and this developer will still get their money. But the easier, direct way to do it would be to release the game in Japan, and they refuse to do it. They are refusing to bend the knee. And that's something you just don't see very much anymore, because usually everybody will bend the knee and make changes for that dollar, and they're not doing it. And I respect it.
I was just about to say the same thing. I respect that. Hey, the developer has visions for the game. If the Callisto Protocol is meant to be played a certain way, you know, a game just based off of what we saw in the trailers and everything, the Callisto Protocol is one serious scary game. Because in case you haven't noticed, a lot of scary games now just don't hit the mark. The last scary game that actually that fans loved outside of Dead Space, the only one that I can think of right now is Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8. Outside of those, it's you know, there aren't that many scary games out there that really drive that fear factor home. And the Callisto Protocol is the next game in line that a lot of people are looking forward to. Not to mention the remake for Resident Evil 4. But you know, like, I think it's super important that this game is played a certain way so that it maintains those feels, because if they censor it, it may ruin the experience. And the developer has a vision for this game, and I absolutely respect the developer refusing to censor the game, because as Yellow Flash is saying, a lot of people would censor the game just to get the dollar. But for the developer not to be looking at this from a monetary game perspective, but more so a quality, I can appreciate that.
That they're sticking to their vision. And a lot of people are out there bowing to censorship. I don't like censorship. And I think that, you know, it's nice that they are having some integrity here. And it's disappointing to see this on the flip side, to see Japan ban stuff. Because Japan makes some really awesome shit.
See, I do find that interesting that, you know, that Japan will sit there and ban a game. But the US and other parts of the world, we don't even bother censoring their anime. There are animes out there that are gruesome. Goblin Slayer, that's gruesome. There are crazy animes out there. Tokyo Ghoul is another one, you know, and it intrigues me.
They note here, there's no telling what element of the game has pushed it over the line of CERO's certification requirements. But considering the title will be packed with murder desserts, and they put that in quotations, and the developer has found itself taking inspiration from real-life examples of horror and gore, this isn't all that surprising. When did Japan get so prude with violence? I don't get it. Put a mature rating on it and let them play it. It's wild. Not a fan of censorship.
It's two different cultures, though. It's two entirely different cultures of people. Like over here, I mean, I'll just say, you know, just bottom line, is two different cultures. You know, the values are different. The way we see things are different. You know, certain morals may not be the same. So I get where Yellow is coming from, but at the same time, we're talking about a whole nother country with a whole separate set of values and morals and what they deem is appropriate for you know, I suppose for consumers. So let's watch a quick video from IGN. so
While
you guys can
Callisto
see.
Protocol is technically an entirely new IP with a brand new story, the skeletal base of Dead Space, which Striking Distance founder Glenn Schofield co-created, is apparent. So, can the spiritual successor live up to the original? In my preview time, I played the level called Habitat on PS5. We weren't able to capture our own gameplay, so the B-roll you're seeing from that level may not line up perfectly to my experience. Anyway, the first things I immediately noticed were the creepy ambient noises. Random squelching, clattering, and faint echoes all around made me feel constantly on edge. If nothing else, Callisto Protocol gets the creepy, constantly anxious environment down to a science. Controlling protagonist Jacob Lee felt a lot like controlling Isaac from Dead Space. You're constantly looking over his shoulders for what lurks ahead. Jacob feels very heavy in movement and feels less like a video game character and more like an actual person you're trying to push in the right direction. His melee attacks are a slower wind-up than your usual FPS melee strikes. His run also feels like a realistic jog speed and not like a tireless super soldier who never runs out of stamina. Jacob's heavy presence in the world combined with his deliberate pace made Callisto Protocol feel even scarier. For the same reasons, the combat is pretty slow and heavy itself. While this feels great in adding realism and anticipation, it was also slightly frustrating sometimes.
See, my question is, how exactly would Japan even, or the developers, how exactly would they censor this game, dial it down, and still try to maintain the experience for Japanese consumers? Like, how? If you can just tell just by the visuals in this game that they will almost have to take the game apart and all of the combat will have to be revamped. All of the scenes will have to be revamped, cutscenes and everything. Like how could you pull that off? I don't see it happening.
It's because I couldn't time the attack right to smack a biophage enemy immediately in front of me. With ammo being scarce, much like in Dead Space, melee seemed the best option for dealing with a monster in front of your face. You start with a pistol and a baton and can unlock a shotgun later.
That uppercut.
You also have the ability to use Jacob's GRP, or grip gravity weapon, to pull things towards you and also push them away. In combat, the grip does come in handy in pulling an enemy, then flinging them into a wall or object that can damage them further. There's limited battery on the weapon though, so you can't just constantly fling enemies off of you. While at the start of the level I could blast through enemies with my pistol at will and restock, I found that the further I went, the less ammo I would find.
Even
It got
though
to a point where I realized that I had 5 total bullets left going through multiple checkpoints. Callisto definitely encourages you to save on bullets and use your environment and different combinations to fight through the torn prison, but it doesn't really help you realize you should be prioritizing other options, especially when you're given so much free ammo at the beginning. Being forced into a specific playstyle when you originally thought you had more freedom of choice was a little bit frustrating. The combat almost seems to reward perfect combinations of grip throws, pistol shots, and baton smacks. If I had known that going in, I would have been more ready and less frustrated with the lack of ammo.
imagine having to fight through that smoke and being literally one tap from folding. Like, just imagine. You know how nerve-wracking that would be? Oh, whatever's in here, it could just sneeze on me and then I have to start over.
I played Dead Space and I know what limited ammo feels like, but in Callisto, the ammo somehow feels even more scarce. At a certain point, the aliens you fight will spew tentacles from their chest and, when damaged enough, will mutate into a stronger form. When this happens, a single shot to the tentacles will keep them from mutating. But if you're out of ammo, or if you have just a few shots left and miss, you're very much out of luck and have to either try to melee and dodge, which feels incredibly difficult, or die and try again. This would often lock you into dying and respawning, a cycle that just got more frustrating each time I approached it. Going into Callisto is a challenging experience that really tests your survival skills with precise combinations of attacks. Certain parts of the levels were really like playing a Souls-like game that required you to do some practice runs and fail before getting that perfect pass to progress.
Uppercut. Boom. I gotta say, this character, he can swing. Like, his swings hurt.
Overall, now that I know what to expect, I'm willing to give Callisto another try since the environment was so well done, but I really need to be mentally prepared for frustrations and replaying specific sequences. For more on your favorite horror games, don't miss our hands-on previews of Resident Evil 4 Remake and Dead Space Remake. And for everything else in the world of video games, stick with IGN.
Yours truly will be seeing you guys later, alright? You guys take care. If you enjoyed the video, let me know. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to keep those drinky drinks off the desk and those snacky snacks on the left. This has been Grubby. I will see you all in the next video. Take care, my people.